Hey Jenna,
Yes, honey.
who's a bee's favorite composer?
I have no idea.
Beethoven. Okay. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Engage, a family gaming podcast. This is episode 192, and I'm your host, Stephen Dutzman. As always, this is the official video game and board game podcast for EngageFamilyGaming.com. EFG is a website where parents like myself and my co-host come together to make sure everyone has the information they need to get their family game on. This week, I am joined by the well-traveled but not well-rested Princess of Power, Amanda Farrow of SuperParent.com and GameDaily.biz, and probably like 4 other websites I don't know about yet. How are you?
I'm so tired. I'm so tired.
You're very, very tired. You had a very busy weekend. You had a very busy weekend last weekend. And where are you going to this weekend? You're going to
I'm going to play crafting this weekend.
At least that one's nearby.
That one's in New York.
You don't have to go. You don't have to get on a plane.
No, and to be fair, I didn't have to get on any planes the weekend before either. But I was traveling like Thursday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, okay. I think consecutive train trips 3 days in a row may as well be a flight. Playcrafting, however,
it'll be worth it.
Is one day. I'm super jelly that I am not going, but I'm not going because I'm going to a LARP. Next year, I'm going to come to your place, and we're going to commute together. That's how we're going to do Playcrafting.
That's going to be dope.
Absolutely. And maybe we'll even do a live show from the floor because we can do that.
I think it's a brilliant idea. I'm so into it.
So, folks who are listening, last week we flip-flopped, right? Normally we alternate video games, board games. Last week we flip-flopped because we want to talk about the Fortnite World Cup because Amanda was there. And this week we're going to talk about GenCon 2019 because Amanda was there. And guess what? Next week we're going to talk about playcrafting because Amanda was there. She's pretty much writing the schedule for us for a while. Thank you for the topics. So
I'm here for you.
GenCon, yes you are. So GenCon is the E3 of board games.
It sure as heck is.
Safe to just say that?
It is a heckin' huge conference. Holy moly.
Bigger than E3? Size-wise?
Yes. It is huge. I mean, in terms of the Expo Hall, it's about the same, but
then they overflow into Lucas Oil Stadium. So
into Lucas Oil Stadium just to go play board games over there and do more demos.
Yeah,
it's completely bonkers. I got some really cool pictures of Lucas Oil because I'm oh my god, they play sports ball here. Yeah, I haven't posted them yet.
I know. I would like the exclusive before you post them.
Perfect. I'll give them to you. You can put them on your Insta.
Oh, I want to see them before you post them. I mean, we can discuss how I will
I'll text them to you
your stuff
right now.
So, Lucas Oil Stadium, for the uninformed, that's where the Indianapolis Colts play. I had a conversation on Instagram with a content creator who was a Titans fan who was there and who was simultaneously really excited and also boo, this is the Colts, because they're in the same division. They don't like each other. I know you don't necessarily know all that. I'm
sorry if it's not played on ice.
I get it.
I don't know.
Occasionally in the winter, football is played on snow, but not in Lucas Oil Stadium because it's not
indoor.
Really a dome because it's
indoor,
it's got a steepled roof. Because they do everything.
It kind of looks like a factory.
Yeah.
It's really interesting. It really does fit in with the whole Indianapolis aesthetic.
And that was done 100% on purpose. But anyway, this is not Lucas Oil Stadium cast. This is Engage, a family gaming podcast. So my understanding is you went to the GenCon as not press.
Not press.
Your first convention in probably ever. Maybe not ever, but in a long time.
It's been a while.
Not with a media badge.
Yeah, it was different.
How was it being a plebe?
I wasn't. GenCon's really interesting though, because even if you're press, you're still the impression that I got is you still got to use your generic tickets to book time, if you don't end up booking time with PR or whatever. So it was great though. It was super great. I ended up making some industry contacts while I was there because it's me and I'm never not working. So I did a little.
Yep.
And I came back with a bunch of games from Renegade because I went and I introduced myself to their new PR person, and I'm just like, "Sup?" And she's like, "I know you." So that was different.
Cool.
But yeah, it was really great. The people, oh my goodness, the people at Gen Con were probably the nicest people I've ever met at a convention, possibly ever.
Meaning like fans, employees,
Like
all
everybody.
of the above?
Literally everybody was so nice and so helpful. So if you like bonked into someone by accident, it was a whole lot of very Canadian, "Oh, I'm so sorry. Like, I'm so sorry for bumping into you. Are you okay?" And like, "Oh, I'm sorry about that, and please excuse me," and just like impeccable manners.
Whereas if
Which,
that
of
was at
course,
E3, you would have been stabbed.
or I would have punched a dude. I mean,
Or that.
because I would have been really tired and hungry. So thankfully,
Yeah.
I was neither. Well, I was tired, but I wasn't like.
We're definitely
hangry.
tired.
I was definitely tired.
So
But it was beautiful. Like everyone was so nice. The cosplay was super cool. I really like the Indiana Convention Center too.
That's one thing that I noticed a lot this year, because I was following what the goings on there, because I was just wanting to be able to connect with you on it on some level. So I was following it. I did not know people cosplayed there.
I didn't know that either until I went, but yeah, cosplay is a big part of it apparently.
I mean,
and this year was the 50th Gen Con.
Which is a lot of Gen Cons.
50.
Well,
that's so many Gen Cons.
And that's a testament to the fact that board games have been around a very, very long time. But
sure.
I actually watched a video last year after last Gen Con that was like kind of about the history of Gen Con. I thought it was really fascinating about Gen Con is a testament, and I think it's interesting that Gen Con, considering that idea, this idea, and this is a walk, so just follow me. The idea that Gen Con and EVO took place on the same weekend, and both of them started as more or less garbage that happened in a garage, right?
That's fair.
Like, all of them were super small. Nobody really went to them. Like, EVO started with, like, 40 locals at like a random place in SoCal or something, right? And then it turned into renting out and selling out the Mandalay Bay Arena, right?
Unbelievable.
And like, that's insanity. And Gen Con, which started out as
a scrappy little
convention that was for like super hobbyist games, has grown to be a big enough entity that when they threatened to leave Indianapolis because of the Indiana governor's shenanigans, they helped make real political change because it's Gen Con, and also big enough to have their overflow crap on the field where the Colts play in August, which, by the way, is training camp. So, like, that's bananas to me. That, like, and I think it's really interesting that both of those events happened this year at the same time. 50th Gen Con, 20. I think it's the 20th EVO, 20th or 25th. One of those. Like, it was a significant anniversary for both of those. Super interesting. Just goes to show, if you want to make a convention or do a thing, do a thing.
Yeah, always do the thing. Always do the thing.
Always do the thing. So, you had your first convention as a fan in a while. You went with your spouse.
I did. I went with my husband.
And it was his idea, right?
It was, yeah. He was originally going to take Mike, and they were going to go on like a brocation. But Mike's been hella busy, so he's like, that's going to be a lot of extra stress on me, and I just don't think I can handle it right now. So I'm like, well, I'll go.
Yeah, I mean,
put me in, coach.
You jumped right on that one. Hey, sure, I'll go play
did.
some board games. And some board games you played. I asked you for a few games that you played, and you happened to just start typing. And by the way, you are a very skilled typist, and you typed for a while and gave me a bunch of names. So first, I want to talk about some of the announcements that happened.
Yes.
And then we can talk about some of the games that you played. So we're kind of going to reverse. We're going to do the impressions thing last, and then we'll start with the news.
Great.
First, I think it's possible that the board game universe has Marvel fever. And I think that's because Endgame made like a good $1 trillion, and so everybody's like, all right.
A good trillion?
Like, they just made like a Googleplex of money, and they're like, oh, okay. People like superheroes.
Oh yeah.
Let's buy the Marvel license.
Let's do it.
And so they did 3
There's so
Marvel
many Marvel
announcements.
So many.
And 2 of them by Fantasy Flight, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
one is Marvel Champions, a living
Yep.
card game a la all of Fantasy Flight's living card games. Big difference is this one is cooperative, whereas the other ones are competitive.
Which is very cool.
Which is awesome. Vision is on the cover, dude.
Hello.
Vision is on the cover. I
Hello.
showed it to the general, and she was like, you're gonna buy a copy and not even open it, are you? And I was like, no. Yes, I am. Guilty as charged.
So attacked.
But the fact that because Vision being on the cover means there's probably Vision cards also. Which means I'm pretty hype about that. So, living card games, this is the cool thing about living card games from Fantasy Flight, is you buy the box. The box is the cards you need. It's like the entire expansion. And then they have plans to add superheroes and scenarios every month.
Yes.
After a certain period of time. I don't know when it starts, but so the good news is there's like a lot.
Dude.
Yeah, this is going to be a very big deal. In order for Fantasy Flight to do that and produce all those, they already have like the first year pretty much planned out. Yeah. So like, be ready for it. They ran Netrunner for what, like 5-6 years. They've been doing the Game of Thrones card game forever. This is a very big deal. So if you like Marvel, keep your eye on Marvel Champions. Really cool. Oh yeah.
I didn't to play it because the line was horrendous, but it was really, really cool looking.
So that's Marvel Champions, the card game. Also, Marvel Crisis Protocol, a miniatures war game, because of course we needed a Marvel superheroes.
Super dope.
Yeah,
yes.
We did. You didn't tell me about this.
I'm working, Evan. I forgot to tell Evan about the Marvel. You were at Boy Scout camp when all this was announced.
And you didn't tell me when you came to pick me up?
Nope, I didn't, because we were busy. Sorry. Did I tell you about the Commander previews? No, I didn't. You're gonna get. I'm spoiling everything for you, Evan, because we're gonna talk about Commander in a little bit. So yeah, I mean, a Marvel. This is gonna be so cool. The problem is the minis come unpainted, unassembled. So if I play this game, I'm gonna have to have someone paint them for me.
Mom.
I mean, you could do it. My wife could probably do it. I cannot because I am terrible. So that's Marvel Crisis Protocol, which just sounds cool. That's another one that's just going to live forever.
Hopefully.
I mean,
they can hold on to the license.
Yeah, I mean, if they can afford the license will probably carry it. Sure, why not? How about this one, though? This one came out of nowhere for me, but Marvel Splendor.
That one, like, I don't understand it. I mean, Splendor is a great game. It's so good.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't even see it on the showroom floor. I thought that you were going to talk about Sinister Six.
There's a what? Oh, there's even more. I mean, because Spin Masters has Wakanda Forever. There's a Sinister Six game.
Yeah.
Tell me about Sinister Six, because I didn't even hear about that.
I did play it, and I ended up bringing it home.
What? Okay, so is it about the Sinister Six?
It is about the Sinister Six.
So it's like You and the Boys. Is there a You and the Boys? Like, is the meme represented at all in this game?
No.
You know what I'm talking about, though, right?
I do. Not really.
Can we somehow use the components of this game to recreate that meme?
I don't know. I haven't busted the game open yet.
Oh, all right, but you played it. So how is it played?
So Sinister Six is a really interesting game. So it's played by initiative. So you get these little tokens. You got to flip them over and figure whoever has the lowest initiative, they go first.
Mm-hmm.
And what you need to do is you got to collect a bunch of loot and not get your butt kicked by any of the spider folks. So Miles Morales is there, and Spider-Man and Spider-Gwen.
Yeah.
And they actively prevent you from getting things like intelligence tokens and cash and whatever else. Like sometimes you even have to like give it back, or you have to give back your black market cards.
Mm-hmm.
it's a game that is both cooperative and competitive at the same time because you kind of got to screw over the rest of the villains in order to get the most cash or get
Okay.
the most loot, right? So it was a really interesting game. It played fairly quickly. Um, the decisions that you weren't making weren't all that significant. It's not a deep game by any stretch of the imagination.
Okay.
But it is fun. It's definitely fun. And I think it'll be really good for our kids.
Awesome. And so you're obviously you're playing as the various. Which
Yes,
iteration of the Sinister Six is it? Is it like Rhino and Scorpion and Vulture and?
It was Venom
Oh.
and Sandman
Okay.
and wait, Mike's whispering. Green Goblin. Was Electro in it? Yeah, Electro was in it. No. There's no Doc Ock. We didn't play it, but we didn't play with Doc Ock. And then there's also promos that we got at GenCon. We got Hobgoblin.
Sweet. It sounds great to me.
It's really interesting. I thought it was fun. The mechanics are really easy to get the hang of. Kids are gonna love it because it's simple, and the gameplay moves fast. So there's not a
Awesome.
lot of time between turns.
So Marvel Splendor, which was obviously hidden away in a corner, although frankly, considering the size of Gen Con, it could have had like a booth the size of Square Enix, and you might have still missed it because Gen Con's huge. Here's what I think happened. I think the people that make Splendor or someone was like, you know what these things could be? These like tokens. You know, we can make them just Infinity Stones, and then just put some Marvel art on the cards, balance it up a little bit, and boom, Marvel Splendor. I think that's really all it is, because if you look at any images on like Board Game Geek, etc., it really is just Splendor repainted. It looks like, to me, and I'm gonna buy this game. So let's just, I'm going to sound reductive and negative, but this game will be mine. Daddy must have it. Marvel's, I mean, it looks like you or I got really excited, like after drinking one day, and just like photoshopped a bunch of stuff and put stickers on the components and just made our own game.
Perfect. That sounds like exactly something that I would do.
Frankly, if I would much rather spend my gems to like recruit Moon Knight than to buy an emerald mine any day of the week. So, so that's Marvel Splendor. So, and on top of that, Wakanda Forever, which is by Spin Master. I don't even know what that game is about, but it was a very big.
I don't even know what that game's about either.
So, it's safe to say Marvel Fever. Just all over the board game world?
Yeah, pretty much.
It's crazy. Did you happen to stop by the Peaceable Kingdoms booth?
I don't think so.
You would have known, because it was a bunch of games for toddlers. Probably not your super wheelhouse. I'll introduce you to Elise. She's wonderful.
That sounds great.
So, okay, so that's Marvel Fever. It's crazy. We're probably gonna end up being able to put together like a holiday list of just Marvel board games.
Yes.
And they're probably gonna include a bunch of stuff that we didn't even list because we couldn't find it. Because everything is insane. Another thing that was announced, well, it wasn't announced, but it was officially released at Gen Con was Pathfinder 2.0. So
we have.
Yeah, I'm sure you do. Here's what Pathfinder is, folks. I'll give you the quick Cliff Notes version. Dungeons & Dragons is on its 5th edition. Around the 3rd edition, when they put it out, it was a little broken, so they made a 3.5. Yes, I know. I say a little broken. I said a little broken, and Amanda basically just like... She just did like 3 snaps in a Z, like right at me. Yes, a little broken. By a little broken, I mean they basically didn't play test it at all. And it was a mess. And a lot of players had some issues. So they fixed it, quote unquote, with what was referred to as 3.5. And here's the thing. I'm not even joking. They literally said 3.5 on the box, or on the book. And so around that time, a company took those rules, because it was an open gaming license. You could take those rules and kind of run with them, and made Pathfinder, which is essentially 3.5 with changes that a specific fracture of the community wanted. Like a specific set really was hungry for a different, for some specific rules changes. So they did it, and they made Pathfinder. That rule set has been living and breathing, and people have enjoyed it and been playing it since, 10 years-ish. Long time.
Yeah.
They finally decided last year that they were going to put out 2.0, which is basically another edition of Pathfinder, which makes sense. You can eventually your books just get crazy. You need to kind of come back, find a base, which is exactly what Dungeons and Dragons did. I am sure they saw what Dungeons and Dragons did and went, "Oh, maybe we could do this and get in on some of this new edition stuff." And so it was play tested. There was a lot of stuff going on, and people were generally happy with it. And it came out at GenCon. How were the lines to pick up your book? Did you have to wait a long time?
Well, see, the nice thing about being press is that we just got it sent to us.
Oh, all right. So you didn't have to wait in line.
Go wait
Did
in
you
line,
happen
thankfully.
to see long lines?
I did, but the lines weren't long. They were long at the very beginning of the show.
Yep.
Because that's usually when you got the Zerg rush, folks getting in there to try to get their stuff. Because they just want to go get it.
Yep.
Go get it, get back out of the hall, go drop it back off at their hotel, and then enjoy the rest of their day.
Mm-hmm.
So I definitely did that on Sunday. I Zerg rushed the hall to try and go get unmatched. But
For those of you listening that don't know what that means, a Zerg rush is, just Google it, Zerg rush. It's a StarCraft reference.
It is an OG
StarCraft reference.
Yeah, exactly.
It is simultaneously marking Amanda and I as super nerds, also dating us. Also dating us, because StarCraft is what, like 30 years old? Not really, but it's not that old, but still. I don't know why they're not making StarCraft 3 right now. I'm sure they are, but anyway. So that's Pathfinder. This game, the general consensus is that it is positive. However, it doesn't appear I don't have the book. I will at some point. From what it really doesn't appear that Pathfinder 2.0 is super accessible to new players. What it feels like is D&D 5th edition was like, we're going to attract new players. And Pathfinder 2.0 said, we're going to entertain our current player base and poach experienced Dungeons & Dragons players, which, by the way, is what Pathfinder did in the first place. So, sounds cool to me. They did release the character sheet like a week before, and it went around on Twitter and Instagram, and a lot of people it made a lot of people feel a certain kind of way. That character sheet was not good. But whatever, character sheets are character sheets. You learn
Don't worry
them.
about it. Sometimes, for the most part, character sheets are almost always terrible. It's really difficult to find a game that has a good character sheet. I think Shadowrun has a good character sheet. But that's Shadowrun 4. Yeah. Shadowrun 4th or 5th edition had a good character sheet. They haven't had a good character sheet since.
Yeah, well, because character sheets are hard. Just like user interface. It's like user interface design that never is allowed to move for years.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's Pathfinder.
PDF.
That was a big deal. I am sure we will be talking about it. Pawn's Perspective, a friend of the show, has early impressions. Paizo sent them a copy. They have early impressions right now. So if you head on over to pawnsperspective.com, you can take a look. They're a big tabletop RPG guy. He didn't review it yet because obviously it's really hard to review tabletop RPG product quickly because, tabletop RPGs books are very long. But he has his initial impressions. Other news and announcements before we get to the games that you played, because I'm very excited. Wizards of the Coast started spoiling stuff, and no, it was not Throne of Eldraine. I'm so angry at them for not spoiling more stuff about Throne of Eldraine yet. I want to know more about the fairies.
Understandable, who doesn't?
Also, there's Goldilocks is a card, and I want to know what she does. We'll talk afterwards. There's a whole thing.
Okay.
It's top down. Throne of Eldraine is top down design. King Arthur Grimm's fairy tales. So top down design means, hey, we need to make the gingerbread man, and they make the gingerbread man. Oh, we need to make Goldilocks the person who killed the 3 bears, and Obviously, she doesn't in the story, but in this case, she does. And we need to make her, and they make King Arthur, and they're going to make Merlin, and blah, 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 blah. So that's very exciting. They haven't done that yet, but they did start spoiling Commander 2019, which is their premium boxed product that's coming out later on this year. Commander is a format. We've talked about it briefly on the show before, and I will be publishing some more stuff about it. Commander is a special format. You play with 100 card decks, and these are pre-constructed 100 card decks that have some special rules because they're all built around legendary creatures. These are complicated Magic products because the cards all do weird stuff. But it's fun watching them get spoiled because the art and the monsters and all that stuff are crazy. Also, They tend to reprint really old cards because they can.
I like that.
That
plays into my personal nostalgia.
Yes. They reprinted Seedborn Muse, which has not been around since Onslaught Block, which is, at this point, nearly 15 years old.
Old as heck.
Old as heck. Also, still really powerful in a multiplayer format. But we'll talk about that later. So, they started spoiling it. They spoiled the 4, because there's 4 decks. They spoiled the 4 commanders, and some of the other legends, and then some of the cards. If you go to mtgnexus.com, which is the replacement for MTG Salvation, because that site is closed, you can see a visual spoiler. Some of the art's pretty cool. Seedborn Muse is literally the same art from a million years ago, and it's great. So you played a bunch of board games.
So many board games.
So tell me about Letter Jam.
Letter Jam was the ultimate hotness at GenCon this year.
Wow, okay.
It was unbelievable. That game flew off the shelves. So Letter Jam is a cooperative letter building game. Or it's a word building game. And you work together in order to help the people around the table guess the letters to the word that's in front of them. So you're dealt out a bunch of cards, and you can use between 4. I used 6 because I wanted to make my husband's life difficult, apparently.
Okay.
Because I'm mean like that. But you're supposed to use between 4 and 5 cards to construct a word. You pull up one letter at a time, and you can't see yours. You have to guess that letter.
Yeah.
So what that means is that you look around the table at everybody else, and you check out their words and their letters, and you're like, okay, so I can construct a 4-letter word or a 5-letter word or something with 4 humans, which means that you have a better chance of making sure that the people around the table get their letters.
Mm-hmm.
Because the more people that are successful at their letter guesses, the better it is for everybody at the table. So you go around and you bid like that. You try to solve your letters, and you write them down on this sheet of paper. And you start to puzzle out what the heck your word is. So you just write down all of your letters as you guess them.
Okay.
And you write them out, and then you have to unscramble them. And then at the end of the game, you can... So if everybody else is still guessing, you can keep drawing letter cards, and you can keep guessing them. And you can keep adding them to the pile, so that if somebody else at the table ends up not guessing the right letters, they can use the letters in the middle of the table to help construct a different word. So if you royally screw up your word, you still have a chance to salvage it.
So this feels like Scrabble Hanabi.
Yes, in fact, it does. It's a lot like Hanabi, but it's less obnoxious because I don't like Hanabi.
Me either. I in fact, Hanabi is one of...
I don't like Hanabi.
Hanabi and I don't get along. I think the issue now, I think I might have liked it better if the first time I tried to have it played. Now, you know me. You've known me for years. Mm-hmm. Do you think that the first time I should learn to play Hanabi should be in the free play room at PAX East?
No, that's a terrible idea.
Yeah, well, that's when that's when they tried to teach me, and I didn't understand it.
No.
I just didn't
Hanabi
understand.
is a weird game. It's a weird game anyway. But Letter Jam is like Hanabi, but it's not. Because you're basically playing solitaire
Okay.
for the most part, but you're cooperating with everybody else around the table, so it's very much so like a Care Bear kind of game. So of course it's entirely my aesthetic because I am very much so a Care Bear gamer. So I really enjoyed it. James and I had a great time playing it, but guess what didn't come home with us?
Letter Jam.
Letter Jam.
Because they sold out?
Because they sold out. Yeah.
Well, I mean, what are you
flew
gonna do?
off the shelves. There's nothing you can do.
It's not.
But it was great. Really, really fun game. Took us about 45 minutes to play it.
Mhm.
So relatively easy to pick up. I don't think it's for younger players. I think that maybe like 5th or 6th grade, so probably my eldest son's age would be okay. But I mean,
It's a word game.
Vivi can't play it.
Yeah, it's a word game.
Yeah.
Word games are difficult to age down. The So yeah, I mean that it is what it is. The good news for you is CGE. They don't have a production problem, so
No.
I suspect that they will have more copies of that
Yes.
game very soon.
Yeah, they're always really good about their production because Codenames flies off the shelf and they're just like, no problem, bro.
Yeah, I mean, good news. They also have figured out that they don't make games with miniatures in them because they figured out that like it's easier to make games without miniatures. It's like, so tell me about Trash Pandas because I physically have a copy of Trash Pandas.
My
it is
goodness.
in shrink because we haven't done our unboxing video of it yet. Tell me about
Oh
Trash
my
Pandas.
goodness. So I love Trash Pandas. It has no business being as much fun as it is. Game Right
Okay.
does Sushi Go and Sushi Roll and the Forbidden Desert, Forbidden Island games and what have you, and Go Nuts for Donuts. So I mean, like all of those really casual games, and actually including the Forbidden games, are all huge hits in this house. Like all the kids love playing those games. So I sat down with Trash Pandas and I played it with James, and I trounced him. By the way, I got 29 points to his 7.
Wow.
I had quite the stash. I was a very, 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 very wily raccoon.
You're a very, very wily raccoon. That is that's something.
It's
That's
true.
something.
So the whole aim of the game is it's a lot like Go Nuts for Donuts and a lot like Sushi Go, where like you're trying to collect sets of different kinds of cards. So you go through and you roll a die and you collect these tokens that are on the die. So it's essentially like 1 through 6, and you are choosing. So if you roll the die and you land on the same token that you already have, you end up busting for that turn.
Okay.
So it's a push your luck game as well. So you can go as many times as you want until you run out of tokens, which happened to me once. Or until you bust. And if you bust, you lose everything.
Oof.
So you have to make wise decisions about when you are going to draw cards, when you're going to bank those cards in your stash, if you're going to steal from your opponent. There are defensive cards in Trash Pandas. There is the Kite and the Doggo,
Sure,
which
of course
prevent.
there are.
Yes. So the things that you can put in your stash are things like nanners and pies.
Because this game is
And-
called Trash Pandas, guys.
Yes.
So
Yes.
the memes are strong with this game.
The memes are incredibly strong. What else did they have? They had oh shoot, what did they call chocolate bars? Oh, Yum Yums. Chocolate bars are Yum Yums. And
Sounds about
sodas
right.
were called like Blamos or something like that. It was really, really cute. So it was like, it's a fast-paced game. It moves really quickly. I think it would move even more quickly if we had more people.
Sure.
But oh my goodness, it's so cute and so fun, and the kids are already playing it and loving it. So I'm a big fan. I want to play more Trash Pandas.
I mean, well, the good news is you have it, so
true.
you can do that thing. So, so that's Trash Pandas. I'm excited.
Yep.
We have a copy of that, and
You're gonna love it. It's so much fun.
Yeah, pretty stoked. We will be. We have to do our unboxing soon, but I promised Game Right that we would do them all at once. They sent us
Damn.
a rather large box, so it's intimidating. But we can do it. We can do it. We'll make the sacrifice. Tell me about this game called The Color Monster, because I've literally never heard about it.
So the color monster, and I'm gonna show Steve my picture of the color monster because it's right here. This is the color monster. So the color monster is
Wait, can you
by
show me again?
yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Forgive me, everybody.
So
This
it's
is bad radio, but
it's okay. Don't worry about it. So this is made by Devere Games, and
okay.
they're based out of Seattle. And the color monster is a game for children, and it's trying to teach them how to put language around their feelings. So you start
Okay.
off at the beginning of the game with a girl and her monster. And the girl and her monster hang out on happiness. And was it happiness? Might have been happiness. I'm not sure. They
Okay.
hang out on like a relatively neutral emotion. And you move the monster around the board, you roll a die, and you move the monster around the board however many times. When you land on an emotion, you you are asked the question, what makes you feel whatever emotion that is? So there was anger, there was sadness, there was calm,
hmm
there was happiness, and there was fear.
Okay.
So the first one I think I landed on was, oh no, one of them was love. It wasn't happiness, it was love. Was it love? No, it was happiness. The neutral one was love. That's what it was, because everyone starts off loved. That's what
Okay.
they really wanted it to be about. Is like, no, you start off love, your monster, and you and your monster are both loved. So you roll around the board like that, and you're collecting your emotions.
Okay.
And so you get these little tokens, and you insert these tokens into these potion bottles, and you flip the potion bottle around, and if your emotion matches the color on the potion bottle, you're one step closer to finishing the game.
Okay.
There are also mixed emotion bottles, so if you get 3 of those, you have to start the whole game over. And so if you roll the girl,
Okay.
she removes all of the mixed emotions. So those just get flipped back over. So part of it is getting kids to explain what's going on with their feelings. Part of it is you are pulling together a match game for young children. So like this is the kind of game that you would play with a 4-year-old or a 5-year-old, trying to get them to talk about their feelings in a productive capacity. It would not surprise me. It would not surprise me if I started seeing this game in child psychologist offices. It's that
Oh,
interesting.
okay.
Yeah. So it was a fun experience. Like I really liked it for how accessible and how cute it was. It looks like a little kid drew this.
Okay.
Right? Like how cute is that? So, yeah, I really liked Color Monster.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, listen, I really emotional intelligence and like is a big thing.
Yes.
And it's kind of important. And I really appreciated there's a handful of children's programs that like really kind of focus on that. I think like Nihao Kai Lan did that. Daniel Tiger does that a little bit. But I think, let's come at, and I know Sesame Street touches on it, but a lot of kids can't see that. I think having it in game form, I mean, there's countless children's books about it too, but I think coming at it in game form is, I mean, it's certainly helpful. It's just one more vector to kind of deliver some of this information, and it sounds pretty cool. And man, do we have a problem with kids/adults not knowing how to express their emotions in a healthy way. So
yeah, it's really important. So what I loved about the game, other than the aesthetic and how accessible it was, it's that this could have a real positive impact on people's lives. And the young man that we were playing with, that was demoing the game for us, was saying, "Look, this game makes me feel like I'm not alone, and it makes me feel like, my emotion, my color monster is going to be whole and whatever." And he was just such a nice young man. Like I just wanted to squish him.
fun
Very,
fact, and maybe you said this, and I'm spacing. This is based on it. There's a hardcover pop-up book.
I did not know that.
If you go onto the Amazons, literally that cover art for the game that you just showed me is the cover of the pop-up book of Feelings.
Oh.
And it looks like, so the book is by Anna Llenas, Llenas.
Okay.
And there is a pop-up book, and then there is just a regular storybook about color
This is
monsters.
wonderful. That's lovely.
So if you don't want to play the games,
Go
knock
read
it
some
out.
books.
It's also available on Kindle.
That's great. I like
So,
that.
Color Monster, I'm down. That sounds great to me. I'll be
Emotional
honest with
intelligence
you.
is important.
When you added it to the list, I was like, this could be super weird. And now I'm rather happy that that serendipity led me to choose that one. Now let's talk about Tiny Towns, because this is a game that is like kind of blowing up the universe.
Yes, it is. I actually ended up playing it with the designer.
You did.
Really nice. Pete's nice. I like Pete.
I have not met him. I met the PR guy from AEG at Toy Fair, and he told me all
Todd's
about
really
it.
cool.
Yeah. And he told me to email him for my copy, and I haven't done it yet. So I should probably do that.
Probably do that. Todd's a good dude.
Oh, I'm sure he's a
Definitely
great
wanna-
dude. He's a great dude. I just haven't emailed him yet because what I
His
don't
life.
want to do is be like, hey, give me stuff. I'll write a
Yeah.
review for it in 9 months. Like,
Understood.
that would have been bad for him. I don't want to make
Little
Todd
bit.
mad.
Oh, I'm sure
Um,
he wouldn't be. He's
Oh,
a
of
really
course
nice
not.
guy. But
So
So,
Tiny
yeah,
Towns,
Tiny
you played
Towns.
it and you liked it.
I did. Yeah, I think I would like it a lot better after a few more times of actually sitting down and grasping the strategy a little better.
Yeah.
It's challenging, man. Like, it's such a hard game.
Mhm.
I sat down and I started pulling together these patterns. So what you have to do is you're pulling together your town,
Mhm.
and you are trying to build specific buildings based on the cards that are on the table.
Mhm.
So specific colors in specific combinations help build specific buildings. And depending on what kind of buildings you're building, how many cottages you have to feed everybody at the end of the day. That's how you get your points for the cottages.
Yep.
And it's complicated
Yep.
because there's not a whole heck of a lot of space there. So if somebody is calling out, brick or water or stone or whatever, and what you really need was you needed that wood or something, you're screwed. You still have to put down the darn token on your board, on your personal board, on your personal sheet. So you're kind of screwed. A little bit.
I mean, it's one of those games, because I've watched some YouTube videos of live plays of the game to try and. It's one of those games that definitely looks like it doesn't take a lot of skill to just kind of throw stuff down on the board, but you really have to grok it.
No, you gotta get it. It's gotta be in your bones. And you have to have exceptional spatial awareness. I have good spatial awareness, but who knew that spatial awareness did not translate to a teeny tiny little board?
I would never have predicted that.
I wouldn't have predicted that either. Who knew?
I am terrible at games, so I have a feeling even if I do understand Tiny Towns, I will be bad at it. But that's okay.
That's okay. It's still fun.
I generally lose. I find joy in losing because that means someone else is winning.
Oh, bless that.
That's the way I've taught myself to enjoy games, because I don't win. So I take joy. So those are some of the games we played. We're going to be talking about the games from GenCon probably until the end of the year. So we do have another question of the week from our community, which these questions can be sent to us on our Facebook page at engagefamilygaming.com/Facebook or facebook.com/engagefamilygaming. I know we have a hard out soon, so I'm skipping right to I'm going to get right to the point. Amanda,
yes.
What Nintendo game or Nintendo franchise do you want to see made into a board game?
Ooh, The Secret of Mana.
That's not a Nintendo franchise.
But it's the game I played on the Nintendo. Does that count?
Sure. You know what? There are no cops.
There's no cops
There
here.
are no cops. That makes my choice easier because I wasn't going to pick that one. So go ahead. So you want a Secret of Mana game? So you want like dudes on a map?
That's where I play. Yes, I want to play more dudes on a map. That's what Mezzo was. So I want dudes on a map.
You want dudes
Dudes
on a
on
map?
a board. Yeah, Dudes on a Board is awesome. Those games are rad. I really, really enjoy grand strategy games in general, but having them on a smaller scale, oh man, it's good stuff.
Sure. I think I would like that because I think that in order to be in the true spirit of Secret of Mana, it would have to be a 3-player cooperative game.
Yes, of
where
course.
the AI, where there's like an AI where you're like dealing cards or whatever that controls the monsters or whatever.
It's an app-enabled game.
Or an app. Well, I mean, I think that might be a little much, but sure.
Excuse you.
But you
I
can
love
do
my
it.
app-enabled games.
But you can do games where the AI is run by like a deck of cards, kind of
Yeah,
like
it's true.
a la Sentinels of the Multiverse and things like that. So okay, so Secret of Mana, I will allow it because there are no
You'll
police.
allow it?
Because there are no police. They said the
No
question
cops.
did just say Nintendo game. Secret of Mana
It
was
is
in fact
technically
on
a
a
Nintendo game.
Well, what if I decided to get really specific and be like, the remake on PS4 doesn't count? I'm not going to do that because there are no cops. I want... this is what I want. I want a deck building game where I'm building a city a la like Machikoro type thing, but I want it to be all Animal Crossing characters.
Awesome. That could be rad.
I want the Animal Crossing characters to be like just an array of dudes that are in the middle of the table. And so I'm going to start with my little town, and I'm going to buy things. And then as my town gets fancy, at the end of my turn, I can attract villagers to it, a la Splendor. That's kind of where I'm getting
Very
from.
interesting.
And then, like,
That could
you
be
know,
interesting mechanics.
and I think maybe they have some superpowers. Maybe some of them do. Maybe some of them don't. But obviously, they'll be worth victory points. You know, Isabelle is worth more than like the stupid otter.
Isabelle is worth everything.
Yep, Isabelle's pretty awesome.
Isabelle's
but
great.
Don't
Tom
Google
Nook is worth
Isabelle.
negative points.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, or KK
Don't tell
Slide.
Matt Piscatella. Don't tell him
Don't tell him about what.
that I don't like Tom Nook.
Oh yeah, he gets real. Matt
He gets real upset.
Go figure. The bean counter gets upset about the bean counter.
Aww.
I like Matt Pescatella. Matt Piscatella, for those of you who are like, why are they name dropping? #rude. Matt Piscatella works for NPD.
He's an analyst.
He's an analyst, so literally he is a bean counter. I should ask him to come on the show someday. Maybe he will.
I think you should. That would be really fun.
After
Matt and I
episode
should-
200, my goal is, after episode 200, and I'm comfortable saying this now because we're getting very close. After episode 200, my goal is to try and get a guest on every week. And have it be and to see how long we can get the streak to go. But also, I want to see how bananas I can get for guests. I already have several lined up that just need to be slotted in. So, and you help, because I can be like, hey, you know this woman.
It's true.
So you can come be on a podcast with me. She at least can vouch for me. I'm not crazy.
You are not.
So, folks.
You're a very good dude.
This has been episode 192 of Engage, a Family Gaming Podcast. We talked about board games today. Specifically, we talked about GenCon, Marvel taking over the board game universe, because of course it is. And I hope you enjoyed listening to it as much as we enjoyed recording. We're going to be back next week to talk about to talk about video games. Lord knows, plenty of video game stuff that we'll be able to talk about. I suspect we will be talking about maybe the difference between Steam and the Epic Games Store. We'll probably be talking about Mixer a little bit more, because Mixer's throwing money around like crazy people. Lots of dollars to get a certain blue-haired wonder. He has blue hair, right? He has blue hair.
I think he changed it.
What color hair is Ninja? He got blue hair now, right?
Half blue, half pink.
Oh, he's got cotton candy.
Oh, it's the half pink. That's right.
So certain ninja someone, many dollars. He can comfortably buy a $5 footlong with no problem. And plenty more video games coming up. Also, you're going to Playcrafting, which is a small a small gaming convention that you're probably going to find some really good stuff, because I know you love you some indies.
I'm all about indies.
And we're probably going to have to talk about your plans for PAX West.
Yes.
So
I'm
that's
be
next week. I just basically
Okey-doke.
pre-wrote the patch note, or pre-wrote the, not the patch notes, pre-wrote the show notes. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. But until next time, folks, don't forget to get your family game on. We'll see y'all soon. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Engage, a family gaming podcast. Thank you for listening. Thank you for listening to